Welcome. September is here and we've got to mow again once a week and raise that height because we're going to lower it in the spring. And now, here's a huge list of wildflower seeds that you can plant at this time. Now remember, if you're planting in irrigated areas, you'll get a much better response than areas that are naturalized. Be careful where you're planting and make sure that you can allow them to go to seed so you've got a continuous landscape of wildflowers in the spring. At this time, we'll want to separate our irises and daylilies, but plant them ASAP. That means as soon as possible. Once again, separate your perennials. Share them with a friend. We can also plant our cool season grasses such as rye and fescue at this time, but remember that if you plant these, you're going to have to mow all winter, and overseeding your lawn may make it look beautiful during the winter, but guess what? It's going to compete with your warm season grasses when it comes up in the spring. Also, sow seeds of your winter blooming flowers in flats, and those would include snapdragons, pinks, and pansies, and those are going to give you winter annuals. So remember, you're going to plant pansies, pinks, and snapdragons from seed. Now, it's time to fertilize, and if you're fertilizing your lawn, then you're fertilizing your trees. I always advocate using a 15-5-10 with sulfur. Make sure that you're using a fertilizer with a 3-1-2 ratio, which is 15-5-10, 21-7-14. Keep the middle number low. That's phosphorus. It's not mobile. It will actually cause problems in your yard if you add too much. Nitrogen is for leaf growth, and remember, that's what we want now, because if we have leaf growth, you'll be pushing those roots down in the grass and your trees. Prune all dead and diseased wood from your trees and your shrubs. Also begin disbudding your chrysanthemums, and that's just going to be thinning them out so that we don't have so many they fall over. Lightly prune your geraniums, begonias, and even your petunias to rejuvenate them. So we're going to cut them back so that they'll flush out and give us new blooms for the fall. In addition, remove any dead or, let's call it, weak or unproductive growth on your crepe myrtles and roses. But remember, never, ever commit crepe murder. Okay, let's talk about water, and we're going to hand water once again newly planted areas, and then also make sure that those plants that have green berries that are going to produce fruit, we want to keep them wet, or we won't have the beautiful berries or anything to feed our animals. So the hollies will drop their berries, and make sure that your cucumbers and eggplant stay wet at this time, or they'll become bitter. Also, water the lawn is needed, and that's usually every 7 days for Bermuda and every 5 days for St. Augustine, unless it's rain. And how do we know? If you walk across the grass and it leaves footprints, you need to water. Or if you notice the grass changing color, it's time to water. But you don't need to water right after a rain. Last but not least, feed the birds. And those are going to become pollinators, and they will also just make you feel good when you can sit out in the backyard, drink a cup of coffee, look at the fruits of your labor, and see the birds come and eat and love your yard as much as you do. We're going to plant another butterfly. I think you can remember we did this last time, but I am planting a burro's tail, and this is a succulent. And they will also come up from these little leaves that have fallen off, as you can see. And I've taken this pot and cut it down because this container has no holes in it. So this pot, I couldn't find one that fit, so guess what? I just cut it down with a pair of scissors. So remember, anything can become a container. I've taken some pre-moistened soil and put it into the bottom of the container. And now you're wondering, how's she ever going to get both of those in that little pot? Not to worry, there's method to my madness. I take them out, and then I am actually going to modify the soil structure. And all of those will become cuttings, I can show you in just a second. And then, see, here's one of the little leaves that's actually rooted and become another plant. Put it in here, crush. Pull them out at the same time and put them back in together. Add a little bit more soil. These leaves will all root. So now you see we've completed planting the container, and now we're going to take it and place it into the decorative container. And now we have a beautiful Burro's Tail succulent planter. Well, that's our September edition of Let's Get Growing. I hope you've caught a few little things that can help you out in the landscape. But remember, let's get growing and grow on.